Alright, hello everyone. This is a quick tutorial on how to download a Palworld mod, specifically those that are Lua scripts. So I'm just going to show you how to download this MovementSpeedSettings mod that I created. For on the description page here, we can read a little bit about the mod, but you can see the installation steps here. So the first thing we need to do is download this RE UE4SS. This is a DLL injector that lets us use mods for Palworld. So if we click on this, we're going to get a GitHub page with releases. And what you're going to want to do is go down here to the assets, and you're going to want the X input zip. So click on that and it'll download. Let's go back to the installation page. In order to install the UE4SS, I'm going to clean up some of these items here. What you need to do is unzip this zip folder that was downloaded. So I'm unfortunately on Windows 11, so I'm going to use this extract all button. If you have 7-zip, you can use that, or WinRAR. I'm just going to extract all these all the contents of this folder to this folder here in downloads. So once I do that, I have these files. These files need to be placed in the binaries folder of your Palworld directory. So let's go over how you can find that. If you open up the Steam page in your library and you find Palworld, you have this little manage icon here. And if you click this and say manage, browse local files, you can see where Palworld is installed on your computer, where the Steam version is. So what we have to find is we have to go to Pal, binaries, Win64, and this is the directory where we're going to place all of the contents here into. So over here we have a fresh install of Palworld. None of these files are here. I'm just going to simply click and drag these over. So now we can see we have all these settings here, all these files, excuse me. And in this mods folder is where all of our mods are going to be placed that you download off of nexusmods. So really quickly, I'm going to go over the UE4SS settings. You can right click and open this with Notepad. If you have Notepad++, I would recommend you use that, or just go download it. Just Google Notepad++, it's much better than Notepad. If we open this up, we can see a lot of settings here. What I'm going to have you do is go down to this section here, debug, and this is where you can enable the visual console to see debug, and you can see errors that happen when you load mods. What it does is it'll pop up a separate window anytime you open Palworld. So I'm going to go ahead and set this console visible to 1 and console enabled to 1. I'm going to hit Control S to save the file, and then I'm just going to exit out of here. So now that we have this injector installed, this is one of the prerequisites that we need. If we, so we're following the steps here. We've got the UE4SS, we've dropped its contents into the correct directory for the binaries. We need to download this signatures folder from the mod page. So if I go to files, here we'll see UE4SS signatures. We have to download this. Just go ahead and hit slow download. Let's look at this in downloads. And again, we're going to use the extract all. So now this folder itself needs to be pasted into the Palworld binaries directory, which is, it looks like this. Palworld/pal binaries Win64. It's the same place you drop the other files. Just simply going to take this and just copy it right in here. So now we have this folder. Inside it should have this file called fname constructor, and it's a Lua file. Okay, now that we have that, we have all the prerequisites installed. So let's just go back to the description and follow our steps. Now we're going to download the mod, MovementSpeedSettings. So we go to Files, MovementSpeedSettings. At the time of recording, it's 2.0.1. Just hit manual download. This is just letting you know that you have to have this prerequisite, which we already did. Hit slow download, and now we can go find this zip file in our downloads again, extract it all, just like before. Now we're going to copy this whole folder. You can verify that inside it has this enabled and scripts, and inside scripts we have these two Lua files. So let's just go back up into here. Again, we need to go find the Palworld binaries Win64. Except this time we're going to go into mods. So this is where you're going to place all the mods that you download from nexusmods. Again, just going to take this and copy it straight into here. Okay. So now let's go back to the description, make sure we're not forgetting anything. We're going to ignore the mods.txt for right now because we have the enabled.txt present in here. It's just going to load the mod anyway. The mods.txt is kind of there to let you load the mods in a certain order if you want to, but we don't have to do that just for a basic install. So now you have the option of customizing your mod. If you go into scripts and look for this property file, you can edit this with Notepad. Again, I would really recommend that you download Notepad++. But you're going to see a lot of stuff here. So you have two keybinds. Really, only one is important. We have a toggle button, so you can toggle on or off the movement speed settings. So I just have that defaulted to F1. If you have another mod that's using F1, you can change this to anything. It doesn't have to be a function key. If you want it to be, the key J, you can have it be the key J. But I'm just going to leave it as F1. And then we have a debug key. This is just something that will print out your current movement speed values to the debug console. You really don't have to worry about this. It's only if you want to get into the weeds and really see what your values are at. For settings, we just have the option to apply your movement speed settings as soon as you load into the world. So by default, this is false, meaning that when you move around, you're going to be slow like normal, and you have to hit your toggle key to turn it on or off. Basically, you set this to true, you'll just already be going fast. You still have the option to toggle it off from there. So now we get into all the properties. So everything you see here is going to be related specifically to your player. So for example, how fast you can move when you're walking, not sprinting. How much you accelerate while you're walking. That's how quickly you get up to max speed. How fast you sprint, your sprint acceleration, how high you can jump, how fast you can climb, how fast your glider can go. And then there's a lot of stuff here. So now we have properties that are specific to your type of mount. So if you're riding a mount that's on the ground, like the direwolf or a alpaca, you can modify these values separately. Now remember, this applies to all ground mounts. So again, it's the same values: walk speed, acceleration, sprint speed, things like that. And if we go further down, we have flying mount properties. So same things here. Now the reason that these are all broken up and the reason that you see two separate values for both of these is to kind of give you more control. So this value field is literally just what you're going to set the value of your walk speed to. So right here by default it's 350, but we're going to set it to 1000, so it's going to be much faster. You also have the option to use a multiplier. So if I wanted to use a multiplier, I could say I want to move 5 times as fast. I want to move really fast. I'm just going to set this to 5.0. And if this multiplier value is set to anything other than 1.0, it's going to ignore this value field and it's just going to use this. It's going to say whatever your walk speed is, I'm going to multiply it by 5. So the reason this is useful, it's not that crazy useful on the player, because you could just do the math and just say, okay, if the default speed is 350, I'm going to multiply that times 5 and set that value here. The reason it's useful is for your mounts. So let's say you want ground mounts to be twice as fast because they're just too slow. Alpaca's too slow. I just want to, increase the quality of life a little bit. What you can do is you can set this multiplier for walk speed to 2.0. And what that'll do is when you ride a alpaca, the alpaca walk speed will be twice as fast. And then when you get on a direwolf, its walk speed will be twice as fast. So what that means is that a alpaca will still be slower than a direwolf, and they'll still feel unique. They'll have a different walk speed than the eikthyr deer. Whereas if you were to leave this multiplier at 1.0 and set the value to say 1300, every mount would move at the same speed, which kind of removes the uniqueness of the mounts. And you just get an alpaca and then it doesn't matter. There's really no reason to get any other mount because they all move as fast. So that's the reason for using the multiplier. So I'm just going to set this for 2.0 for the point of the demo. And same is true for flying mounts. You can set flying mounts to move, they all move 3 times as fast. The flying mounts have some different values here, such as run speed default, which is kind of confusing, but this is how fast you move when your mount is actually up off the ground when you're flying. And then we have climb speed, which is how fast you can ascend and descend. So you can see that I've set a lot of these to be, 3.0 or 4.0. And some of these values are unknown. I just provide them because I found them, in the game. You can mess around with them if you want. I'm going to hit Control S to save this, and let's open up the game and see it work. Okay, so this is the debugging tool. When we set the console to visible and active, this is what we allowed to pop up, this pop-up window. So what you can see is there are some logging statements here. If you look at this line, movement speed settings mod has loaded. Okay, so that lets us know that our mod that we just installed has loaded into the game. I'm going to start up my test world. And I set the changes enabled by default to false. So I should be moving around at standard speed. And I am. This is pretty normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my toggle key, which is F1. And you can see in the top left, my movement speed settings are active. I can jump really high. I can glide really fast. We're walking fast, we're sprinting fast. And this is seamless, if you get on a mount. So if I get out my dire howl, and then ride, he's fast too. He's much faster than normal. I can press F1 again, and now he's back to his normal speed. If I get off, I'm also back to my normal speed. And I'll just showcase the flying mount really quick. So I have a Nightwing, really slow. This one's really disappointing how slow it moves. So if I hit F1, we can see that he's moving fast, and we can climb quickly. We can move a lot faster. It just feels a lot more natural for flying mounts to kind of move at a speed like this. 3.0 or 2.0 feels good. So yeah, that's the mod. I'm just gonna exit out, and yeah, that's it. I'm gonna put out some notes about some mount or some other mod compatibility, specifically gameplay tweaks. That's a really cool mod, but it also modifies values related to movement speed. So if you do want to install that mod, just make sure that you set all of the movement speed values to the default in that mod. And then everything should work fine. But if you change movement speeds in that mod, and then you also change movement speeds in this mod, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's unpredictable. But thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the mod.